How's it going, folks? This is going to be for February 11th, 2021. This is for our B cohort because we do not have school on Friday. I'm just going to be doing a quick video of what we're doing in class. We're going to be focusing on taking out a GCF. If you have not yet seen, a GCF is our greatest common factor. Okay, it's something that everything shares. So let's go ahead and we'll look through these. So our first one, we're looking at 3x plus 6. We're looking at both terms, both the 3x and the 6. What do these both share? Well, they both share a 3. So I'm going to pull a 3 out. I'm going to factor out the 3. And then I'm going to have to use some multiplication. 3 times x will give me 3x. And 3 times 2 will give me 6. So I was able to pull out a 3 of both the 3x and the 6. Looking at our next one, we're going to go ahead and pull out something that both of these share. Now notice that they both have a whole number that are able to be factored by 4, and also they both have an x, so I'm going to be able to pull out an x. So I have 4x times x will give me 4x squared, 4x times negative 3 will give me negative 12x. Our next one, we have 8y minus 6. Both 8y and negative 6 share in common a 2. So we'll have 2 times 4y will give me 8y. 2 times negative 3 will give me 6, or negative 6. Looking at our next one, we have 12y squared and 8y. Both of these are going to be able to be factored by a 4. Let's do this in a different color here. Both of these can have a 4 taken out, and they both can have a y. Okay, they both share at least one y. So 4y times 3y will give me 12y squared, and 4y times positive 2 will give me 8y. And our last one here, number 5, we have 6y minus 3. I'm going to be able to take out a 3 of both of these. So then multiplying 3 times 2y will give me 6y. 3 times negative 1 will give me negative 3. Okay, looking back this first row here, we're now going to have negative x minus 4. Now, as we can probably tell, these don't share anything. So since they don't share anything, we're not going to be able to take out a common factor, except there is something. They both have a negative. If I wanted to rewrite this, I could say negative 1 times x plus negative 1 times 4. Since they both have a negative, I'm actually going to be able to pull out a negative 1. Negative 1 times x will give me negative x, and negative 1 times positive 4 will give me negative 4. Okay, looking at our next one, I'm going to have 2y minus 2. I'm going to go ahead and see that they both share a 2. So pull out that 2. We're going to have y minus 1. 2 times y gives me 2y. 2 times negative 1 will give me negative 2. For our next one, I'm going to have 10x and 15. Both of these are going to share a 5. They both have a factor of 5. And I'm going to set up my multiplication. 5 times 2x will give me 10x, and 5 times positive 3 will give me 15. Our next one will have y squared plus 5y. I can see that they both have at least one y. So I'm going to pull out a y, and then y times y will give me y squared. Y times positive 5 will give me 5y. Our next one, we're going to have 6x squared minus 2x. I'm going to pull out a 2x from both of them. Okay, they both share at least one x, and 6 and 2 both have factors of 2. Now for the multiplication, 2x times 3x will give me 6x squared. 2x times negative 1 will give me negative 2x. Moving on to our next row. Let's go ahead and bring all of these out here. So looking at 2y squared and 8y. Now both of these are going to have a factor of 2. both of them are going to share at least one y. So now to multiply, I'm going to have 2y times negative y will give me negative 2y squared. And then 2y times positive 4 will give me 8y. Over here, both 3 and 12 are going to share a factor of 3. And then x squared and x are both going to share a factor of x. So we're going to end up with x minus 4. 3x times x will give us 3x squared. 3x times negative 4 will give us negative 12x. Over here, now, unlike number 6, where both of these had a negative, we have negative x plus 9. They don't always have to share something to be able to pull something out. There's always going to be one case where it works, and that's always going to be negative 1. Anytime you pull out a negative 1, you're just going to flip-flop the signs. So I'm going to have negative 1 times positive x and negative 9. Okay, we do this because a lot of times we're going to want x to be positive. Generally, we're going to want the variable that we're working with to be positive. Okay, looking at our next example, 8 and 10 both share a factor of 2. And then we have y cubed and y squared. Now, if I just pulled out a y, I'm going to have 4y squared plus 5y. Now, this isn't quite right because what we have in here, they still share a y. So we didn't actually pull out the greatest common factor. We pulled out a common factor. Now, we need to make sure when we're doing this to pull out our greatest common factor, which in this case will be 2y squared. They both share at least 2 y's. So we're going to have 4y plus 5 in here. 2y squared times 4y will give me 8y cubed. 2y squared times 5 will give me 10y squared. Looking at number 15 here, they both share a 5. So we're going to have 5 times 2y will give me 10y, and 5 times negative 3 will give me negative 15. Okay, we're making moves here, getting closer to being done. Let's go ahead and open up these ones. So for this one, 8 and 10 are both going to share a 2. And then y squared and y will both share a y. We're then going to multiply 2y times 4y will give me 8y squared, and 2y plus 5 will give me 10y. Looking at our next one, I have negative 3x plus 6. Negative 3 and 6 both share a 3, and I'm going to have x plus 2. I'm sorry, that'll be negative x. But like we saw up here on number 13, we don't really want a negative x. So I didn't actually pull out, I can pull out a negative as well. So instead of pulling out 3, I'm going to pull out negative 3 from my original binomial. So negative 3 times x will give me negative 3x, and negative 3 times negative 2 will give me positive 6. So the one that we're looking for is this one here. We want the variable that we're working with to be positive. Looking at our next one, we're going to have something very similar. Both 12 and 2 share 2. But if I kept the negative out, I would have to have negative 6x. That's not exactly what I'm looking for. So let's pull out a negative 2 instead. So we're going to have 6x minus 1. Negative 2 times 6x gives me negative 12x. Negative 2 times negative 1 will give me positive 2. Looking at our next one, we have x squared minus 3x. Both x squared and negative 3x share an x. So we're going to pull out an x, and we'll have x times x gives us x squared. X times negative 3 will give us negative 3x. Our last one in this row, both 6 and 9 share a 3. 3 times 2y gives us 6y. 3 times negative 3 will give us negative 9. Open up our second to last row here. Negative 3y and negative 6 both share a negative 3. So negative 3 times y will give me negative 3y. negative 3 times times positive 2 will give me negative 6. Looking over here, negative y squared and negative 2y. They both are negative, so we can definitely pull out a negative, and they both share at least one y. So now using the distributive property, negative y times y will give us negative y squared. Negative y times positive 2 is going to give me negative 2y. For our next example, 3x and 9 will share a 3. So 3 times x will give us 3x. 3 times positive 3 will give us 9. Our next one, we have 20 and negative 5. Both 20 and 5 are going to share a 5. And x squared and x are both going to share an x. Let's make that a little bit nicer. So we're going to have 5x here. 5x times 4x will give me 20x squared. 5x times negative 1 will give me negative 5x. Here we have 6 and 3, so they're both going to be able to have a factor of 3. And we have y cubed and y squared. They share at least 2 y's. So 3y squared times 2y will be 6y cubed. 3y squared times negative 1 will be negative 3y squared. And our final row. Okay, we're going to start 6 and 18. Both share 6. Y squared and y share 1y. So 6y times y will give us 6y squared. 6y times positive 3 will give us 18y. 4y minus 2. What's my greatest common factor? Both 4 and 2 share a 2. We're going to have 2y minus 1. 2 times 2y gives me 4y. 2 times negative 1 gives me negative 2. For our next one, we have 4x squared minus 4x. What's my greatest common factor? We're going to have 4x. And then 4x times x will give me x squared. 4x times negative 1 will be negative 4x. Second to last one here. We have 6y cubed minus 4y. What do they both share? We're going to see that 6 and 4 both share a 2. Y cubed and y will both share 1y. 2y times 3y squared will give me 6y cubed. We need to make sure that we are adding those exponents on the variables. And then 2y times negative 2 will give me negative 4y. So our greatest common factor in this case was 2y. And our final question here, we have 3x minus 9x squared. We're going to see that both of these share what? Okay, their GCF will be 3x. So 3x times 1 is going to be 3x. 3x times negative 3x is going to be negative 9x squared. And that's all I have for today, folks. Thank you very much for your time.